Welcome to This Explainer. Look, if you've ever built something from scratch, started a business, or offered a freelance service, you know the absolute universal struggle of setting the right price. It is arguably one of the most powerful decisions you'll make, yet it almost always brings this familiar sense of dread, doesn't it? You pour your heart and passion into a product, but when it's time to actually slap a number on it, that hesitation just sets right in. How much should I charge? It's a simple, everyday question, but man, it triggers the exact anxiety every single business owner feels when trying to figure out what their product or service is genuinely worth. You're terrified of pricing too high and scaring off customers, right? But then you're equally terrified of pricing too low and working yourself to the absolute bone for zero profit. It's a completely paralyzing place to be. But today, we're going to fix that confusion entirely by looking at the hard, fascinating facts of how pricing actually works in the real world. Because here's a massive reality check. Cost does not dictate price. Think about a standard bottle of water. That exact same water is 100 naira at a local street kiosk, jumps to 300 naira in a supermarket, and then skyrockets all the way to 1,000 naira at the airport. Literally nothing changed about the water itself. What changed was the context, the convenience, and the customer's perceived value in that specific moment. Your price is not just a reflection of your costs, it's a reflection of your context. So to really master this, here is our roadmap. 1. The true meaning of price. 2. How your customers think. 3. Cost versus value pricing. 4. Smart pricing strategies. And finally, 5. How to raise prices safely. All right, let's jump straight into section 1, the true meaning of price. Pricing isn't just a random number you pick out of thin air. And actually, scratch the idea that it's just your production cost plus a tiny arbitrary margin. Pricing is actually the mutual exchange of money for the specific value the customer receives. It's that simple. If the customer feels the value is higher than your price, boom, they buy. If they feel the price is higher than the value, they walk away. It's purely an exchange of energy and solutions. Moving right along to section 2, how your customers think. So customers judge your business incredibly fast through this rapid, almost unconscious 3-step test. In literally about 3 seconds, they get a first impression, like, does this feel too expensive or maybe too cheap? Then they do a super quick mental comparison against their budget and other alternatives. Finally, they make a decision. During those critical 3 seconds, they're silently asking themselves if your product is worth their trust. They're definitely not calculating your manufacturing costs. They're calculating how you make them feel. And this is exactly why cheap pricing can actually be incredibly dangerous. Take 2 hypothetical shoe sellers in Lagos. Seller A sells for 8,000 naira, but has a rough display and 0 branded packaging. Seller B sells identical shoes for 15,000 naira in a clean, beautifully branded shop. Buyers will happily pay almost double for seller B. Why? Because human beings are funny like that. They're buying confidence, presentation, and an experience, not just the leather and laces. Honestly, if you price too cheaply, you might actually trigger doubt in the customer's mind. Which brings us to section 3, cost versus value pricing. Now this is where we need a major mindset shift. You have to move away from the beginner's mindset. The beginner is constantly agonizing, how much did this cost me to make? But the truly smart business owner asks, how much is this transformation actually worth to my customer? You have got to stop protecting your expenses and start pricing the actual solution you're providing. Think about it. If your service saves a client $50,000 in lost time, charging them $5,000 is an absolute steal, regardless of whether it only cost you a few hours of work. And listen, if you refuse to make that shift, if you just calculate your costs and slap a tiny little profit margin on top, you're going to fall right into some dangerous traps. We're talking razor-thin profit margins, agonizingly slow business growth, and constantly overworking yourself. But even worse, bargain basement pricing attracts the absolute wrong kind of customers. You know the ones. They complain the most, demand the most, and value your time the absolute least. You'll end up competing purely on price until you completely burn out. Okay, let's get into some real tactics. Section 4, smart pricing strategies. Strategy number 1 is penetration pricing. This is when you deliberately start with a lower price to aggressively break into a competitive market and build that crucial initial trust. It is a fantastic way for new businesses to get their foot in the door, gather glowing customer reviews, and then confidently scale their prices up once their stellar reputation is totally locked in. Next up is bundle pricing. Imagine selling 1 shirt for 5,000 naira, but offering 2 for 9,000 naira. This plays so perfectly on human psychology.
The customer gets this awesome rush of satisfaction because they feel like they are winning and outsmarting the system by snagging a deal. Meanwhile, you're boosting your average order value and moving more inventory. It's a total win-win for everybody.
Then we have the psychological magic of anchor pricing. This is where you intentionally showcase a premium 20,000 package first. That big first number instantly becomes the anchor in the customer's brain. So when you then reveal your standard 10,000 package right next to it, that standard package suddenly looks like an absolutely irresistible, totally logical and safe deal. You're basically using the high price to make your target price look like the bargain of the century. And finally, strategy 4 is tiered pricing. By giving your customers basic, standard, and premium choices, you completely avoid forcing them into a rigid yes or no decision. Instead, the question subtly shifts to, well, which one should I get? This is brilliant because it lets you capture the budget-conscious buyers with your basic tier while simultaneously collecting higher revenues from the premium spenders who just always want the best experience you have to offer. Now for the boss level. Section 5, how to raise prices safely.
There is one golden rule here, and it's this: never increase price without improving value. Breaking this rule is literally the quickest way to make your loyal customers feel completely cheated. If they are paying more today for the exact same experience they got yesterday, they're going to resent you. But if you elevate the value right alongside the price tag, they will happily come along for the ride.
Let's say a local bakery wants to bump up their bread prices from 500 naira to 700 naira. To do it safely without a revolt, they need to follow this exact sequence. First, improve the value. Maybe introduce better packaging or noticeably faster service. Second, communicate the change incredibly clearly and honestly to their buyers. Third, increase the price gradually rather than one massive shock jump. And fourth, hyper-focus on those loyal customers who already appreciate their quality. Do this, and the price hike feels entirely justified.
And hey, please don't panic if some people do leave after a price increase. Raising your prices naturally acts as a much-needed filter. Yes, for sure, you will shed some of those hyper-price-sensitive bargain hunters, but honestly, losing them frees up so much of your time and energy, making room for the loyal buyers who stay and attracting new, highly serious premium buyers drawn to your newly elevated brand status. You are essentially trading sheer volume for high quality.
So, as you step back into your own business after this explainer, I really want you to remember this profound truth. Price is not what your product costs you. Price is what your value is worth to someone else. So I'll leave you with this question. Are you stubbornly charging for your hidden costs, or are you finally ready to charge for your true worth? The choice is entirely yours.